welcome to a brand new episode of the Jedi Way here on the Outlaw Nation channel. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us and joining us here. It's been 3 weeks, I think, since we did our last episode, since the end of the Acolyte. We needed to kind of detox from the Acolyte, and sure enough, the timing when we're coming back now was right on the precipice of D23, so a lot of big announcements going to be happening at D23. And as we're recording this, it is before the Skeleton Crew trailer has come out, so you'll excuse us that we probably won't be covering that trailer until maybe next week or a couple weeks later, or maybe we'll do an emergency coverage of it for about 10, 15 minutes later on. Who knows? Who can say? But we're certainly going to cover a lot of things here on the show. But let's introduce ourselves. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, also known as Rocha Feder on these parts, joined as always by the great Laura Kelly. Laura, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm noticing in this coloring right here, I'm a little bit red. I was at Wrigley Field all day yesterday, got a little bit of sun.
Hey.
So I feel like my face is like a different color than my chest and my neck. Like, whoopsies. I mean, what can you do? I can't do anything about it now. So here we are. I also might like be muting myself on and off. The cicadas here, it's so next level, you guys. Like, I heard it in the Force Toast recording, the last one we did. I was like, God damn it. So
what are you hearing? What are we hearing?
Cicadas. You might hear them singing the song of their people through my closed window. So stay tuned. I will try to mute though as I hear them.
It sounds just like an Ewok song, so be careful for that. But yeah, Laura, of course, is the co-host of the Force Toast Pod as well, a great podcast that she does with her friend Alice there, so you guys can listen to her on that. And of course, our third co-host here, who's one of my favorite people, who is, we got to celebrate this, cancer-free. Very happy to hear the scans came out really great. Where he's back on the show here with his beautiful blue background. I love that soft blue you got going on over there.
Trying to have synergy with your background, you know what I mean? I do want to say two things.
Thank you for I just want to get to his name before he goes on his tirade. Go ahead. Yeah.
On the cancer thing, that's great. This was a little bit longer of a wait than normal, so they knew I was a little bit in stress mode there. But with the all clear, I'm not out of the woods, obviously. Like, still got a couple more years until I could be considered cured, but that's good. And I want to defend myself here. I should have had this muted when we first started. And right when you said, hey, and it went on to the 3 shot, I was trying to move the fan over here because I'm really hot, right? And when I moved the fan, it touched the door stopper thing, which people might think that I farted at the beginning of the show. But I need to recreate this noise so you know I didn't fart. So this is the noise.
Right now?
That's from the door doing the thing because I was reaching over for the fan. So I just want all the fans to know that I did not fart at the beginning of the show. If you hear it, it was that. So leave your comments below if you believe my story.
I thought you were just doing like a dramatic entrance, like you shot into the camera.
No, I was trying to beat the clock. Yeah, it didn't happen.
There was movement.
Boy, well, as you can tell, we're ready. We're ready for the show today. We got a lot to get into. As we said, we're going to talk a little D23. We're going to talk a little bit about what we might be seeing there. We're going to get into this People Magazine breakdown of Skeleton Crew and the release date reveal and what we took out of this magazine coverage of Skeleton Crew as well. We're going to talk a little Lando news, for sure. That popped off and people were a little confused. There had to be some clarification, which is an incredible amount of drama over this thing that I thought everybody knew about. And Shawn Levy has got some comments. Of course, the director of a billion-dollar movie, or soon-to-be billion-dollar movies. We're recording this with Deadpool and Wolverine. His Star Wars movie got some comments on that. We might have a couple other stories there, depending on how time lets us have those stories or not. We will see as we go along. But let's jump into the first story, and that's D23. As I said, we're on the precipice of D23. There is so much happening there. I will not be going. I don't know if I don't imagine Laura or Kevin are going. But then again, Kevin might go. He surprises me all the time with the access he gets. But there's so much supposed to be happening at D23, all these scheduled panels. And there's got a Disney Entertainment Showcase that's happening on Friday night, where a lot of people think that the Skeleton Crew trailer is going to be premiered there. A look back at Star Wars, The Acolyte with Manny Jacinto, who will probably be bringing his weights and working out in front of everybody. And a conversation with Lucasfilm Animation. That's Saturday. And a conversation with Lucasfilm Animation on Sunday. But Laura, what are some of the guesses, or what are some of the things that you expect to see at D23? They didn't talk about any of the Star Wars TV shows at Comic-Con. So what do you anticipate we'll be getting here at D23?
Yeah, there was really like nothing on screen Star Wars happening at Comic-Con. It was pretty much all publishing, which was great, by the way. But yeah, I was kind of surprised that there was really not anything that came out of that. They will not be going to D23. I would really like to, but I didn't like. I saw somebody actually post when one of my friends was like, "I have an extra ticket," and I'm like, "Do I fly out to LA?" Last minute, do I do this? And then I was like, "No, I have golf lessons on Saturday."
Oh my God.
Anyway, I have a very specific theory about something that I think we might be getting or an announcement that I think we might be getting at the showcase on Friday night. And I think that we are going to get something animation announcement that we haven't heard about yet. And I think very specifically, it's going to be something that features Hera Syndulla.
Oh.
Because we've got that panel then on Sunday with Dina Portillo, who's one of the producers of all the animated series, and voice actress Vanessa Marshall, who voiced Hera in Star Wars Rebels. So I think that's my specific thing I think that might be coming out of D23. It's just my theory. We'll see how I do on this. But either way, I imagine we're going to get something animation. It's kind of weird that we don't know what's next yet at this point. I don't know if it'll be like a trailer or there will be maybe a little clip or footage or just some sort of actual like announcement. I honestly am not even sure what the exact format of this entertainment showcase is going to be. I know I've like seen clips in the past, but I will be sitting and watching Twitter eagle-eyed waiting for all of the announcements to trickle on down to us. But I don't know. I'm curious, like, do you guys have theories or is there something you're expecting or hoping to get? Like, Kevin, what do you think?
I have my fingers crossed for a live reading of Darth Plagueis novel with you in attendance.
Oh, Lord God. So she'll skip that.
I was going to go.
Not even 7 minutes into the recording. By the way, I do got to give a shout out. He's a fan of the KOTOR movies. He did something crazy. He made the first episode of the Plagueis novel translation, and he's kind of doing it KOTOR style. I don't know what engine he used. It's very much in the similar, it looks like graphics from like 2003 or whatever, but it straight up has like how he met how Plagueis met Palpatine, and it's a direct translation of the book. So maybe Laura, you could just watch that, and maybe that would be better than reading the book. But I wanted to give a shout out. That's Everest Productions, because they did a lot of hard work on it, and it's incredible. Some people in our spaces have retweeted clips of it, so it's kind of small world here. But yeah, it's going to be a full retelling. But yeah, as far as that goes, as far as panels go, I think I'm blacklisted from falling asleep at the Outlaws panel at Comic-Con last year. So I don't think I'm allowed in any of them. I think that it could be something with Hera. Now, would it be possible timeline-wise, and forgive me just because my brain is a fog, that could also involve Nika Futterman and Asajj Ventress, because I remember that she was very public in saying this is not the last we're going to see of her and her story. And just as note, when I was quickly typing in Asajj Ventress, so I wouldn't forget, it translated it to Assad Berries. So as long as we get an Assad Berries animated series, we'll be fine. But yeah, I think that maybe I agree. I think that's cool that if they dive back into Hera. And it'll be interesting if they also are going to do something with Asajj Ventress, because she did say that her story's not yet done to tell. Now, maybe they're going to go live action with that, which will be exciting as well. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. But no, I will not be there. I think they have pictures of me with the big red crossed out and look at the Z. So
with the nodding head. Yeah, look, for me, I think you might be onto something, Laura, because Vanessa Marshall is going to be there. So why would you have her be there if you're not going to have an announcement? So maybe there is something to explore there. And certainly the Asajj Ventress is a great speculation, Kevin, because certainly she made it very clear, Nika Futterman did, that she's not done yet with that character. So that could be fun to see. I think, why do you have a panel with just Manny Jacinto if you're not going to announce the Acolyte season 2? So I just have a very weird feeling about it, that I think they're going to do it. And if you look, the numbers weren't great for the Acolyte, but they weren't terrible, and they weren't like just bottom of the barrel thing. And if you read the recent news with Disney Plus, they have actually made money. They're now in the third quarter. They expected to start making money in the fourth quarter. They're actually a quarter ahead now with the money they're making. Iger announced that in a recent earnings call, and so they're pretty high on what they're doing on their streaming side of things. So the Acolyte is part of that. Whatever your feelings are about the show, it started out with some really strong viewership, and yes, it tailed off as the show went along, but the interest after that finale for a lot of people increased on what you could see here with now Plagueis, with Manny Jacinto's character, and with Amanda Stenberg, what we're going to see here with these characters going forward. So I would not be surprised if that's where they announce a Acolyte season 2. It'd be a very strong announcement. And also remember the Disney Showcase is not just Star Wars. So like the last time I went, they previewed the Indiana Jones movie. So you just never know what's going to be a part of the Luke and Willow, which was an interesting experience. So, but you just never know what's going to happen with this and how they're going to go forward with it. So the other side, I think, is and Screen Rant did a great write up on this. I want to give them a shout out for writing up what they speculate. And I agree with one of the speculations that I think we're going to get some more information on the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. They already said today, they essentially said today that the 3 movies will be coming out in 2026 and 2027, which is kind of insane to think about because it feels like there's not even a script for the Rey movie that they've locked down yet it's supposedly coming. And so the Mandalorian Grogu. So I imagine we're going to get more information on Mandalorian Grogu and what that's going to be about. And of course, the Skeleton Crew stuff as well. Do you guys think I'm off base on this or do you think it could be possible? The Acolyte.
No, I think you're totally right. And I think Ahsoka season 2 will probably get some of that as well.
Yes.
Like these things that are inevitable. I would be curious to see how much of the Mandalorian and Grogu we get. Like, are they filming that movie already? I can't remember what
believe they are. I heard they were. They started production recently.
Okay. So maybe they threw something together quickly. I remember I think it was Celebration Anaheim, the last one. They were on set for like a week and they actually got some footage to show us of Ahsoka season 1. So you never know. We might actually get something out of Ahsoka, or I'm sorry, out of Mandalorian and Grogu. That would be interesting.
Yeah.
Plus footage of Ryan Johnson's new trilogy is gonna shock people too.
That'll be the surprise, the drop. Yeah.
Broom Boy is all grown up with a real lightsaber.
Oh boy.
Knives Out in space. Well, it was supposed to start in June. So that is where, I guess if we're in August, it might have started shooting some. Originally it was going to start shooting in May, and some of the most recent reports were about June. So they might have something, but we know Pedro is shooting Fantastic Four in London. So maybe his part of it can be recorded. I don't know how much he's on camera in this movie. So there might be something that they can preview, like a minute or so of stuff that they can show to get people excited, or some behind the scenes stuff of how they're putting it together. That's for sure. But I hadn't thought about Ahsoka season 2, but yeah, of course they haven't officially shown it. So that could be interesting to see them talk about where they want to go with that. And if there's going to be a Baylan Skoll recasting, right? I mean, that's another part of this that could be interesting to watch over, don't you think?
Well, I hope it takes them a long time to film Acolyte season 2, because I'm so exhausted from the discourse and the debates from season. So I hope it takes like 10 years. No, I'm kidding, but I'm all for more Star Wars. Everyone knows that. So yeah, I get real nervous. And not for how they will portray it, because again, as much as I love the Plagueis novel, I know it's not canon. It could be headcanon for me. But if they start going into it and start rewriting history, there's going to be a huge sect of people that are going to be even more anti and aggressive against it. And sometimes I feel like Star Wars, especially in a time where, there's been some people considered misses, right? That you need to pick your battles. And maybe, that's why Skeleton Crew seems safe. Unless out there in the unknown regions, they're going to discover that Jabba the Hutt is a space lord flying around in space. And, I don't know, I'm making a joke. But as long as they stay away from legacy characters for a little bit and let us take a breather. And I'm not saying that out of my own personal opinions of the series, but it just seems like maybe let's step away from that for a little bit and create new characters and new adventures, right?
Yeah. Like every single series is like, we're going to take 3 years to come back with 8 more episodes. And I'm like, why do you do this? But the Acolyte, I'm like, take your time. Just take all the time you need, honestly. Like if you need 4 years, fine. It's fine. 5 is fine.
Yeah, before you rewrite Palpatine as a spacefaring bartender, space pirate that meets Plagueis on some off-world adventure, let's just get a breather.
Yeah.
I'm joking, Star Wars Twitter.
Do you think that there's a possibility that there will be Andor season 2 stuff at all shown or screened?
They wrapped. Didn't they wrap?
Yeah, so I'm saying, do you think that we will get some, because there had been some leaked trailer that dropped a few weeks ago online and then quickly disappeared that showed like a voiceover and images from season 1 leading to some shots of season 2. So do you think we'll be getting a trailer maybe the same night, like tomorrow night as we're recording this, a trailer for Skeleton Crew and Andor season 2? Do you think that's a possibility coming out of this
I think they're going to pick one or the other. I don't think they want to. Okay. You don't want to split the audience. It's like when Ross Perot ran against George W. Bush. Or,
perfect reference to making a show like this. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, yes, for all you fans out there, when Ross Perot split the vote, it really like
sand on the beach. Sand on the beach. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can I finish? So I would think that they don't want to split the audience and get everybody excited for Skeleton Crew. So I'll spare you from another time reference.
I mean, it's like we don't have a third-party candidate right now. You could have referenced, but you went all the way.
I'm staying away from anything around now, dude. Okay, if I can go to 1992, that's fine.
That's probably smart. Yeah. I will want to say one thing. Like, of course,
George W. Bush.
I want to say this clear. Like, this is a source, and it's a rumor. This is a rumor. These aggregators messed with me when I made my comments on Skeleton Crew.
And I texted you and you were so pissed.
I was so mad because they misunderstood what I said. But from what my person tells me is that, and this is coming before the Skeleton Crew trailer comes out. So I don't know. Should I even say it, Laura? Maybe I shouldn't say it. Maybe I don't want to ruin it for people. But apparently,
you have to. Come on.
Okay, all right. Not a big one, but from what they're hearing, and this is as 4 days ago, this person sent me a message. There will be Mandalorian characters appearing in Skeleton Crew, but they're not sure which the Mandalorian characters. Now, not that big of a scoop because it makes sense time-wise. So, but I think that's a great way to kind of interweave, because we had the Mandalorian appearing in the Boba Fett series, right? Yeah. We had a whole Boba Fett episode. So it makes sense with their approach to things. And
welcome back to the Disney family, Gina Carano.
Oh, Lord. What is wrong with you tonight?
I'm on fire, bro.
It's what happens when we record at 6. This is what happens. So do you guys think who would you like to see, if that's true, pop up in Skeleton Crew? Do you think Bo-Katan is a possibility? Is the man? I can't imagine Mandalorian Grogu would show up, but who do you think would appear from the Mandalorian?
I mean, they've gone that route before with just pulling Mandalorian and Grogu and bringing them in for a Hail Mary. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them. Actually, I think that one of the episodes from season 5, or from season 3 of The Mandalorian, it may have been 5, I don't remember. It's the one where like the alien, the big green alien that looked like a swamp monster. Oh, yeah. Yes. The pirate, like that episode had characters that I'm pretty sure have been confirmed to be in Skeleton Crew. So I'm sure we'll see them, whether your source was referencing those or other characters, I don't know. But I would love to see. I had no problem with Mandalorian and Grogu showing up in Book of Boba Fett. I think it's a really funny joke that people still make. It's still funny to me that he randomly showed up and took over that show for 3 episodes. But if they're doing that in Skeleton Crew, honestly, I won't be mad. I'm never mad to see Grogu. Who can be mad at that? Who's getting angry at seeing that sweet little face? I swear. I don't know. But Kevin, would this be the right move to do a repeat of the Book of Boba Fett and bring them back in? Or do you think people are sick of that little gimmick by now?
2 words, 4 syllables. Carson Teva. That X-Wing pilot is going to be tasked with finding these forlorn kids, these like lost kids out in space. And I think maybe he brings his old buddy Zeb along.
Zeb
and Carson go off to find these children out in outer space. That's my long haul shot. You always got to throw that in there. But if you recall, I made a couple long shots for season 1 of the Acolyte that ended up true.
You did.
Carson Teva would be a good one. And I mean, I don't want them to do necessarily a takeover. I like the Book of Boba Fett more than most people did. And I didn't mind that episode of The Mandalorian during it, like with Luke and Ahsoka and all that. Yeah. But, like, it just felt so like wedged in there. And that could have been the season premiere of the other of Mandalorian. So it just felt weird. Like why? And I get it, because Mandalorian and Grogu, they reunite just in time for the battle on Tatooine, which is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just taking it over for a full episode, especially when everybody was hating on the show. So then they thought, oh, he just came in there to save it, which sucks for like someone like Tamara Morrison, when everybody knows that was the plan the whole time. They had a whole pile of scripts before they even started the shooting, so.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I mean, Grief Karga is a possibility. Ahsoka, I don't know if that fits timeline wise, but Ahsoka and Jude Law. I mean, Rosario Dawson and Jude Law. That's a fun acting exercise to watch those two going at it about anything. So, and certainly she's a part of Star Tours, and Star Tours, of course, is if you go there, you can have that adventure with Ahsoka. she's essentially guiding that as if she's guiding a bunch of kids or young teenagers in a ship trying to get out of a situation. So I would not be surprised if there's elements of that in the Skeleton Crew, so who knows? We will see. All right. Anything more that we want to say about D23? Any more speculation, or shall we move on to the Skeleton Crew story here from people?
Oh, when the Winter Soldier was a captive on in the Captain America Civil War, he was in cell number D23. So I always thought that was cool. Sorry, Schmodown champion.
Oh my god!
I was like, where are we going with this?
It's always like that, isn't it? I feel like I'm in an episode of another sequel of Twister. Take a right. All right.
I feel like there'll be one comment on this episode where it says I'm extra annoying this week. But if I don't get one of those comments, I'm not doing my job. So.
You're never annoying. You're never annoying. All right, let's move on to the story here from people. Speaking of Skeleton Crew, Jude Law and John Watts were interviewed for this breakdown. People had some exclusive photos of stuff on the set from Skeleton Crew. And, I don't know why they needed to highlight Jude Law's age as he took on the role of Joe Nanawood. I know it's such an odd thing to throw in there, but yeah, he describes Skeleton Crew as when 4 kids make a mysterious discovery on their seemingly safe home planet. They get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. That's a synopsis, rather. Finding their way home, meeting unlikely allies and enemies will be a greater adventure than ever imagined. It goes in and talks about what fans were expecting here and what Jude Law feels. And he's like, the first word that comes to my mind is joyful. That's the first word that he feels. And working with the kids, he said it was a fun place to be, the universe of Star Wars. There are some great references to old films, recent episodes, and series. There's a lot of originality, and I hope that will bring the feeling of fun to those who watch it. He also went on to say, I had a wonderful time making this with everyone involved. He says of his time with the child actors, those 4 in particular who worked with me very closely were just great fun and incredibly professional. I'm immensely proud to be part of this crew. And those actors are Ravi Cabot-Conyers, Kiriana Crater, Robert Timothy Smith, and Ryan Kara Armstrong, all part of the young crew. And John Watts, Christopher Ford shared some sentiments and opened up about the bonds that Jude Law made with the kids. Said, because he's with the kids all the time, he's also kind of felt like the co-director, co-producer with us, and he's co-acting coach as well, giving the kids tips, and they would look to him. He really became sort of a mentor figure with the kids as well. And there's a droid that is previewed in this particular. I know Laura's happy about this. A new droid in the Star Wars universe, SM33. It's going to be voiced by the great Nick Frost from the Cornetto trilogy. He said he's like a rusty old cranky droid that sort of reluctantly helps the kids along the way. That's what I would be eventually as a droid, I think. The other thing about him is that he's the first mate of a mysterious ship. So you hear all this stuff, droids, alien species. Oh, this is really good profile on Skeleton Crew, I thought. So, Kevin, what sticks out to you when you hear all this stuff and they're talking about? Does this ratchet up your excitement for this series, or is this a standard publicity fare?
No, I think that's cool. I mean, it's SM33. Do not search SNM33 because you get wildly different.
What is happening? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Jude Law looks great for 51. I gotta say.
Why the age? Why the age? I don't let him age.
I have a theory on it. We'll get to it, but keep going, Kevin.
All right, go ahead, Kevin.
But I do like the idea. I know a lot of people are saying it's like Goonies in space, or Stand By Me in space. So I'm excited for it. And like I said earlier, I'm just excited for a Star Wars show that hopefully is, when they say, oh, there's going to be a lot for you if you be a super fan, things that you can catch on. But if you're coming in fresh, that can be okay. And that just relieves me to no end, because I feel like sometimes if you're just introducing new Star Wars content and we're not messing with legacy characters one way or the other, sometimes improvements, sometimes not. That's good, right? We're not going to be arguing about whether Yoda knew some big secret, or, this is going to be stuff that's way out there in space, hopefully see new planets, new aliens, and new types of droids. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. I want to know if Jude Law is going to have an American accent or a British accent. That's what I can't wait to find out. He looks kind of scruffy with the thing. Maybe he's going to have a Cockney English accent or something like that. But, and I don't know why I just say that. I don't think all people with Cockney accents have like the I don't know. I'm just thinking like Oliver Twist, style, like with the kids. So I'm excited for it. Anything for Star Wars kids. I know, I'm on fire today. This is what happens when we don't record for 3 weeks.
It's a tough accent. Cockney accent is tough. Laura, what are your thoughts on this article? What stood out to you? What's your theory as well?
Yeah, so my theory, and they actually don't mention it in this article, that Jude Law is playing a Jedi. I feel like we've heard that from other sources. It's kind of strange that it's not mentioned. So maybe that was always rumors and it's not actually confirmed. I don't know. But I've always been kind of thinking about him as this person who was initially raised as a Jedi. If the actor is 51, he's probably playing about the same age in the show, which means he's about the same age as Grogu. And I wonder if that is where any kind of connection could potentially come in. Just right?
Oh, interesting.
So that's my theory on that. But I mean, I don't know. Is that pretty standard to put an actor's age in an article like this? I don't know. Maybe it is. I guess I've never really thought about it. But the thing that I'm most looking forward to, and they released images, I think, of him before this People article came out, or maybe it was from this, is Neil, the Ortolan child that is like mini Max Rebo. I am so excited for this character. He's so cute. He's just adorable. And bravo to a child actor that's willing to wear what I imagine is a lot of prosthetics and or makeup and or just mask costume completely covered. It sounds suffocating, to be honest. And the fact that a child actor has been put in that position, I bet they pull it off, and I bet it's really impressive. And I just think that that's great. And I hope that it wasn't too hot in that costume. It looks very warm, honestly.
Hopefully they don't pull it off in the middle of a scene, because then you'd see that obviously it's a kid.
That would be alarming. Yeah. No, I don't need to break the fourth wall in that way in this show.
Yeah, I like the breakdown, and I enjoyed seeing the pictures of it, because it gives you a good, interesting vibe of what you're going to get in this particular series. And again, that's why I feel so upset that people took what I said and went in a whole different direction than what I intended, which was that they're concerned because of the reception that the Acolyte got, that people won't give this show a chance. They're concerned behind the scenes about how it's going to be received and if they've got it right. So there's concerns here. But when you look at these pictures, I mean, like, I'm going to share the screen so we can take a look at them together. These are just great first look stills of this. You mentioned there it is, Laura, the character you're talking about.
Wow.
There, it's so cute.
So cute.
Looks like a mini Snuffleupagus, for those of us who remember that from Sesame Street.
And I get in trouble for the Ross Perot thing, but you're going Sesame Street, dude.
Some things are ageless. But no, I mean, this is great looking stuff when you look at it. I like the energy and the vibe of this. And John Watts is such a fantastic director. Yeah, there's another great shot there of Robert Timothy Smith and Robbie Cabot Conyers there. Just the visuals of this look really cool. And of course, a shot isn't necessarily the show. Do you know what I'm saying? But I like the composition of these shots. I like the energy and the vibe that they're giving me. And this is like Minority Report. This looks like Minority Report. It looks so pretty badass. So with Carrie Cratter there and Ryan Kiera Armstrong. So there's a lot of positives to take out of this article. And I hope this is a good show, because Lord knows right now the Star Wars universe could use a good show where the kids are fun and interesting. The stories are fascinating. And, and we get regressed back to being like 10 years old when we first discovered Star Wars, or most of us discovered Star Wars, and we enjoy the magic again. Never has it been more sorely needed than now. I mean, maybe after Last Jedi, but it's time again to get a show that people can get behind. And hopefully everything they're talking about works. And look, John Watts just signed, they announced it yesterday, I think, a first look deal with Disney. So that tells you that they have a lot of faith with what John Watts has done here and what he's produced here with Skeleton Crew. So that gives me hope, a new hope, shall I say. Hey now. Anything more to say coming out of this article? Anything else stood out to you guys? Anything more that you think that they might have hinted at that was teasing something we're going to see, maybe? Anything else?
The outdoor image was giving or beginning of Lord of the Rings, kind of looked like the Shire a little bit. I mean, there's like some E.T. vibes kind of going on in some of these images. The way that they describe this show as being like pure joy, it sounds like it's going to be a massive departure from what we got in the Acolyte. I mean, that ended up being a pretty dark show. Yeah. So I think that the balance of having gone through that already this year with that series to then ending the year on this note, I think is going to be, I think they're trying to do something a little bit different. And I'm glad that it's not going to be kind of the same vibe as what we got in the Acolyte. I don't know about the idea of doing a sort of Goonies in space. I'm not sure if that quite connects with me, but everything that I'm seeing in these images and in this article looks promising. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yes, character of Jod, he describes it as, quote, someone who, Jude Law does, someone who uses quick thinking, charm, and conversation to get out of all sorts of scenarios. I mean, that smells and walks and talks like Han Solo.
Right.
Kevin, Kevin, your thoughts,
talks like a Cockney accent.
Yeah, with a Cockney accent.
I'm so feeling and dealing. I literally look how red I am. Okay.
Joe Mariot. No, no one wants to hear that, man. No one wants to hear that.
I yield my time. I'm excited.
Oh,
yeah.
I want to hear it.
All right, for once.
The less said, the better for me today, apparently.
All right, fair point. All right, well, let's take a quick break there. And this is coming out December 3rd, right in time for Christmas. So it seems to be that's where they're angling to move this thing in terms of energy of the show. So let's take a quick break. And after we do, we'll jump into a couple more stories here. And we'll be right back right after this. Shout out to Kevin for not letting it go there. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you keeping it in. All right, so let's move on to this Lando story. Laura, take us through this Lando story, because certainly a lot of people, you tweeted about this, a lot of people were confused. Justin Simien was talking about the fact with Collider, I think it was with Chris McPherson talking about the situation with Lando, talking about the series being canceled. And a lot of people thought this meant that the Donald Glover Lando film was canceled, but that's a completely different thing, even though it is kind of connected in that it started out as a series, but then became so. What happened here? Why were people holding on to this going, damn, Star Wars canceling everything? What happened here?
Because people are determined to do that no matter what, honestly, which is, it's unfortunate, but that's what happens. First of all, this is in no way on like Collider. The drama did not come because Collider posted clickbait or anything like that. They did just like an honest to God, well-conducted interview with Justin Simien and wrote about one of the topics that was written about was how he was initially developing this Lando series for Disney Plus. And then he was subsequently pretty much taken off of that project with, it sounds like not a lot of warning. And it sounds like he found out that he was off the project when we all found out. Like he found out through the media, or at least that's what he claimed at one point. So they talk a little bit about that in this Collider article. That is about lots of other things and not just the Lando show, but on this other news outlet, One Take News was the Twitter account that posted it on August 2nd, basically said that, you know, this Lando series has been shelved. It was far into development and Disney decided to take it out of development. And that is just simply not true.
Yeah.
I mean, they took Justin Simien off the project. And as we found out in September 2023, Donald Glover and his brother sound like they are now writing and developing the script. So they took a break during the writer's strike, but it sounds like it's been moving along since then. And there hasn't really been much word from any official or unofficial source or any of the trades since September 2023 about anything really official about this movie. So that's what I'm kind of hoping we'll get something out of D23. It'd be good timing to actually announce something from the official source about this film. At least timing maybe would be nice to know. But that's where all of this drama came from, was just some Twitter account posting clickbait, which is just bizarre because they still credited the original source, this Collider article. Like they still posted that link in there and people just didn't click on it. They just reacted poorly, because this is what the Star Wars fandom does. They like to react big and sometimes not read things. And that's why it's important, boys and girls, to read things.
Yeah. I mean, Justin, Kevin, this is from Christina Radish is the person who interviewed. Oh, Christina, I love Christina, great writer there. She was the one who interviewed Justin Simien. The write-up is from Chris McPherson, but it was Christina Radish who interviewed Justin Simien about this stuff. And it was for a documentary, a new docuseries called Hollywood Black. And he was asked about how he coped with this abrupt cancellation. And these are his words. For me, the answer is that you have to really face it. It is true grief. I've never had a child. I've never lost a child, but it's what I imagine that pain might be like. You pour so much of your heart and soul into something, but ultimately you don't have control over whether it lives or dies. And it is a true grieving process. And as Laura mentioned, he claims that he found out about it from the trades, writing on the wall. I will say, full disclosure, Jeff on the hot mic made it clear from his sources that Justin knew months ahead of time. He just coincided it with the Haunted Mansion release because that film was did not come out well. And so he wanted to make it seem as if he was being blackballed in a way in Hollywood for this. So I don't know what the truth is. Probably somewhere in the middle. Who any of us will know. I don't know if anybody will know. So, but it's the way they're approaching this thing. Well, what's more important is what do you think about what he said here about the Lando series, and what do you think about the confusion? Why did people not know that it had become a film and it was under Donald Glover's? Why was there so much confusion here?
I don't know. I mean, you almost lose me when like you're saying like, oh, I could compare that to losing your own child. Like I don't. It's a little harsh.
You said a bit much. You said a bit much. Is that what you're saying?
But I would say no one wants to hear that they got fired through like the ESPN ticker. You hear stories of that.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I'm a free agent now. I just saw it on ESPN. So if that's how he was let go or whatever, like that's kind of a bummer for him. But yeah, just people jumping the whole clickbait and like, when Plagueis popped up and people were posting pictures of it, and those tweets are getting so much, like people are just trying to get the most engagement ever. And then, they think they can get away with it by they even posting the link, and no one's like doing the research, like Laura said, to click the link and read the rest. So I guess what I can take away from it is it's not dead for sure. I would love a Solo 2 movie and involve Lando again. I'm not necessarily clamoring for a Lando series or movie, although I thought he was one of the bright, shining parts of that movie. So maybe I could be swayed the other way. But yeah, a lot of times actors and directors and anyone in the space, they're trying to save face. I think sometimes they get done dirty. Like Trevorrow, was it the Book of Eli that like a lot of rumors were, he was like the darling, and then a Book of Eli comes out and now you're not the darling again. Like you still have this talented director that gave you, Jurassic World or other things that they are capable of. Okay, not every movie is going to hit on all cylinders, So it's funny how quickly Hollywood is so reactive, and you could just be the hottest thing and then all of a sudden be tossed away. So if Jeff's saying he knew far in advance, then I don't know what to say about that.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think any of us are going to know. And we know brand saving in Hollywood is important. And we know making sure you convey that you're a wanted director is important. And even sometimes conveying that you've gotten screwed over in a situation, whether you have or not, is important because it keeps you kind of still there in people's minds. And maybe there's some sympathy. But I think the more important thing is that he, clearly he put a lot of effort into this, and however he wants to describe it is how he wants to describe it. I think he's entitled to his feelings, but clearly this is moving on, at least under the auspices of another Black creator. I think that's important. Donald Glover coming in, taking it over. He played the character. His brother Steven is helping him write the film, and it is going to be coming out. And I wonder, as you said, Laura, that we'll get an announcement on D23 about what the advance on this is and what it means going forward, and when we might be seeing or when it might be shooting, or what the story might be about. Maybe we'll get some kind of hint into it overall, but clearly this is a character that people love and want to work on. And so you understand Simien's sadness at the loss of it, right? Anything more to say on this?
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if we are going to get all of these things at D23. Do have to save a lot for Star Wars Celebration 2025. So
good point.
Some of these things that we're sort of speculating on might be pushed a little bit into early 2025, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's one thing to go to Anaheim and not have a lot of big news drop, but if people are flying all the way to Japan then the newest thing they got is a Bad Batch DVD collector set or something, they're not going to be too happy about that. So yeah, maybe they're saving a lot of the big guns for over there.
Yeah, we will see. All right, let's move on to Shawn Levy. He is a gentleman who's directing a future or soon to be $1 billion making movie in Deadpool and Wolverine. And if Ryan Reynolds gets his way, everyone's going to get a movie coming out of that movie. Blade, Gambit, Elektra, probably. There were rumors today that he had looked at possibly bringing Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider back into Deadpool and Wolverine. So, it was going to be interesting to see that. But Shawn Levy is the director of that movie, and he was answering questions about his upcoming Star Wars movies. He did confirm that Jonathan Tropper will be penning the script a few weeks ago, but he was recently on the Josh Horowitz Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, and he was asked about the Star Wars movie, and the filmmaker was surprised by the question, and replied, "Wow, you're asking the right questions, sort of. Yes, please don't ask a follow-up," and was laughing about it. And of course, Jeff made it clear a few months ago in his newsletter, that it was his understanding that Shawn Levy's Star Wars film was set to feature the character of Rey in some capacity, although Daisy Ridley is not attached to it. But this is what he had to say about about what Star Wars means to him. The experience of crafting this story has forced me to think about that question. There's only so many times that Star Wars movies can revisit the same section of the timeline, because I don't want to do a Star Wars movie that is redundant to others, nor am I interested in doing one that has to serve another movie. So it's kind of a singular movie is what he's talking about. I really wanted to craft something that felt organic to me in tone and characters. There's certainly the force and connection to something bigger than our individual selves, and the way that can make us powerful. Those themes combined with visual delight and wish fulfillment, that's Star Wars to me. So, Kevin, you hear these comments, you hear these thoughts, you hear these points of views on Shawn. You see the success of Deadpool and Wolverine. Certainly, Free Guy was a successful film recently from Shawn Levy as well. Less said about the Adam Project, the better. But what do you think when you hear about these comments, when you hear these comments from Shawn Levy about an upcoming Star Wars film?
I think you can guess where I'm going to go with this. I'm relieved again that he sounds like he wants to stay away from legacy characters and things that have been established over the years. Because if one thing, Star Wars fans, they're very protective over some of these things, obviously. So if he's going to blaze new trails and create new characters that people are going to fall in love with, like, all for it. Remember, no one knew who Iron Man was. I mean, we did, like comic book fans did, but Iron Man was largely an unknown entity. And when I remember in 2007 or 6, when it was announced for the 2008 release, I was like, oh, that's an interesting one. You know, they're not doing like Spider-Man, they're doing Iron Man and stuff. And look how, he's such an icon now. So maybe we got to give these filmmakers a chance to create their own Iron Man, their own new story, their own new character that can blaze the trail and start a new series of movies. If we're thinking of this as a cinematic universe or intertwined, and get away. I mean, it is so stacked. Like when I've talked about my Star Wars rewatch, where it's like I'm going to start the beginning and go through the Clone Wars and everything, and you see this long thing right when you get to the Clone Wars. It's like this long series of novels, books, shows, and stuff up and through. Like, and then when you get to like A New Hope and Empire, then it gets real short, right? It's like it's so stacked over there, and then like we need to stay away from let's start new stuff. So I'm excited. I'm curious. He said he's writing with the actors in mind. So I wonder what he's up to with that, and how Hugh Jackman's going to look in and Ryan Reynolds are going to look in a Jedi robes.
I'll go for one of the two in a Jedi robe. I'd be curious to see. Laura, what do you take away from Shawn Levy's comments here? Is this standard fare, or do you think there is something to pick apart here to give us an idea of where he's going with this movie?
I don't think there's anything to pick apart here, and I think you're spot on that this is standard fare. I'm sure that every writer that writes any script is writing it in writing characters with specific actors in mind. I have a feeling that's just a thing that happens, whether it's intentional or not. So at least he's owning up to it. I am a little bit confused because I'm like, Jonathan Tropper is writing the script, but it sounds like Shawn Levy's also having some part in writing it, or will have some credit inevitably in writing it. But I'm really excited about the idea that he wants to go someplace new with it, but it sounds like he's also like determined to keep the joy and the hope in Star Wars. And I think that's really promising. I think I've said it before about his film specifically, and I'll probably say it again and again after this, that I will believe it when I see it. This also still kind of looks, smells, and feels like when Lord and Miller were involved in a Star Wars and then weren't involved in a Star Wars. And initially they were supposed to make a Star Wars that felt like them. And that's what Kathy Kennedy wanted to do with Shawn Levy here. And I just will be surprised if it comes to fruition, to be honest. There's a lot on the slate for Star Wars in terms of films. And I don't know if I have a ton of faith that this will actually make it to the screen.
Yeah, I mean, it is confusing because, when you work on this side of the business and you hear, and you're friends with people like Jeff Snyder, and you have other people who work in certain studios, and you hear all this, scuttlebutt or whatever behind the scenes. And I don't want to bring up that song from Little Mermaid.
That's my daughter's favorite song. And if you say it and she hears you, she's going to have me leave the room and play it now on loop for the next 5 minutes. So shh.
Sorry. But shout out to Aquafina. But like you hear the news that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is working on the Rey film, and they're trying to lock down the script here. And was it Travis Knight I think it's Travis is writing the script for this thing. Okay, great, let's go forward. What are we doing with it? Great. But then Shawn Levy has possibly a Rey film, according to Jeff sources. So how are you doing a Rey film here and a Rey film here? Is it an older Rey? A lot of rumors of that. Or are you kind of playing both sides in that, well, we're going to go with Charmin for now, but if Shawn Levy's script and Shawn Levy's approach to it makes more sense to us, then we'll course correct, remove Charmin from the movie, put Shawn Levy on this movie. Like that's the thing that confuses me, because I don't know why you would work on 2 Rey films, because then that comes to me like, once again, they have no plan and they're just doing 2 Rey films and seeing what happens, whichever one makes it worse. Or are you going to combine both scripts, which I've heard some people speculate, to tell a older Rey telling her story of how she rebuilt the Jedi universe, or the Jedi, in a flashback type of movie? Is that what we're going to do? So I just have a lot of questions when it comes to this stuff. And again, I have this feeling, and I'm not trying to bash Star Wars here, but I just have this feeling again that there's no real plan here all over again. Am I off base on this, or am I just not seeing a plan? What do you guys think?
Rocha, I think that's like Kathleen Kennedy, the Joker, taking a pool stick and breaking it in half and saying, "We're gonna have tryouts, write 2 scripts, and who's gonna be the winner." I mean,
We only have one slot.
Dark thoughts there, if that's the case. Did they say that Sean's movie is a Rey movie? I missed that.
Well, that's what Jeff has speculated from people sources he has at Lucasfilm. So that's what he has heard from sources at Lucasfilm. So
I hope they don't do that. That is just such a, like, for filmmakers, like, that's just so cruel. Like, here, whatever, you know, I mean, I guess, look, they get to be at the table, but don't announce them first. And then it's like public knowledge, like, oh, we went with the other one. That would be interesting if they merge the 2. But yeah, I didn't know about that Rey thing. So that's interesting.
And I think more so because what Laura brought up earlier, like, if Chopper's writing the script, why does Levy have so much knowledge about what the approach is? And if it is a Rey film, that's kind of going against what Shawn said, which is he doesn't want a legacy character connected to, and there's no way to do a Rey film and not connect it up to all the stuff that comes before. So right now we're just at the huge speculation phase. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what he's going to create in that.
I mean, maybe it's just going to be like a Rey cameo. It just is like in some capacity. It may not be like a full Rey movie. On the other side of it, is this the beginning of a new trilogy? Is this movie 1 and 2 of a Rey trilogy of films? And we just don't know what the 3rd one is yet, or who the director or writer is. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I just kind of don't have a ton of faith that between all of the films that are allegedly going to happen, this is kind of the one on the list that I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I see this happening.
I think our heroes will be in a spaceship, and they will get a cameo from Rey, but it will be on their iPhone, and it's the Cameo app, and it'll be like, "Hey, this is Rey. Just want to wish a happy birthday to Neum Num's cousin." And
cameos are in universe now.
I mean, less is more, isn't it? At this point with Star Wars, you don't want to go too far out. But I mean, look, I like what he had to say. I just don't know at the end what it's going to end up being and where it's going to go, and it just feels like they're hedging their bets here.
Rocha, I wish you could put on the screen just to go to the image of all of the Star Wars movies that have been announced, and then there's like it's a visually where you could see everything crossed out, and like that's why, like Laura, we have been burned so many times that, like, I agree, where it's like all of this we just take it for a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, Benioff and Weiss would like a word with you, you know, and so
it would to be a fly on the wall of that cutting room floor and see what that movie was like with them. And it's interesting too, hearing the story.
The Lord Miller version of Solo.
The Lord Miller, and hearing that, like, they were ad-libbing a lot, which is fine, but then, like, you know, the screenwriter was on set, and what was his name?
Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah, Kasdan, and then he like went crying to I'm just wanted to hear it. It's like I used this image of him like walking over and like, "Hey, Kathleen, like they're butchering my script. They're not even saying the things that are on the page." It's like screenwriter is very protective of their words. So I wonder if that came into play, you know, and Kasdan is a Star Wars legend. So then they had to go with that safe bet with Ron Howard. So I do like Solo, but I'm curious what that other movie was. And if people hated the Last Jedi style of like the Marvel jokes about his mother and believe he's trolling you, sir, and all that, I can imagine what that Lord and Miller movie must have been like. But maybe that's what the doctor ordered. Who knows?
I think you should be allowed to see that movie. It's frustrating that
release the Snyder cut, release the Lord and Miller cut.
The Lord and Miller cut
never will happen.
Yeah, here's the list of every Star Wars film canceled by Disney.
Here it is. Okay, yeah.
Rogue Squadron, canceled for now. Depending on how the lawsuit goes. Kevin Feige's film, Benioff and Weiss's trilogy, which was announced almost right after Game of Thrones ended.
3.
The Tatooine film that was supposed to be an anthology film. I thought Laura's very happy that was canceled.
4.
There was a Star Wars Episode 9 that was rumored to come out, Duel of the Fates. Rian Johnson's trilogy, which never happened. So, yeah. So these are the ones that you hear. Now, that's different from the directors, obviously. They've been tossed off these films. And there was a Jabba the Hutt movie, right? Guillermo del Toro.
That's right.
Yeah.
That. So, yeah. So there have been a number of them.
Obi-Wan was going to be a film with Cody. Obi-Wan was going to be a film originally, a trilogy with Cody. Like they have that. I mean, you've listed over 10 already, and that's not even like some of the other ones that were like early on rumors. It's like
Boba Fett was going to be a movie, right? And then they turned it into
Josh Trank's Boba Fett.
Trank, right? Exactly. So,
but that movie tranked. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
See,
sorry, everybody. I apologize ahead of time.
Yeah.
Or in the reverse time. I'm late. It's too late. I should have apologized at the beginning. I'll work better next time.
Oh my God. But I do want to say one thing, and this is from my personal idea here, and just if you don't know, if you haven't followed me for any time, I'm a massive fan of Daisy Ridley. I love this woman as an actress. I enjoyed Young Woman in the Sea, the one that is out on Disney Plus now. Yeah, it's not a great sports movie, but I thought she did great work. I enjoy her as an actress. And of course, speaking of Rey, we're talking about Rey. There's a great write-up on her that just came out in Women's Health for you all to read. And sadly, she revealed that she has a disease, a Graves' disease that she is dealing with and overcoming. And so just want to send from the show, good thoughts out to her as she navigates this kind of stuff. And of course, she's an actress with a lot of money, so thankfully she has the resources to be able. But just let you know, these people are human. You go after him, you be angry and all of that, and be upset. But these are human beings with real lives and real stuff that they're overcoming to try and be a part of the Star Wars universe. So I just wanted to give some love out to Daisy as she deals with stuff at the endometriosis, which she had as a teen, and the polycystic ovaries in her 20s. And then eventually her Graves' disease that came on, which is an autoimmune disorder that involves an overactivity of the thyroid. So you need to be on top of that all the time. So it's a lot for a young woman.
Never easy to get a diagnosis like that. So my heart and prayers out to her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Autoimmune diseases are really hard to diagnose too. So the fact that she actually was able to get that diagnosis is hopefully progress in the right direction. Hopefully she gets all the treatment she needs for that.
That's an excellent point you give, Laura. Yeah, not a lot of people know get it diagnosed correctly the first time, so it's certainly an issue there. So, but I don't want to end on a sad note. So, I hear some rumors, Kevin, that the Jedi Sith Lord of Darth Plagueis is being moved out of canon of the Star Wars universe. Have you heard about this, Kevin, recently? Or have you not heard about this?
No. Are you messing with me?
Yes. No, I'm not messing with you. This is written up by Screen Rant. Thomas Bacon wrote this up.
This isn't on the outline, by the way. I feel like this is
because I don't want to end on something sad, so I thought I'd end something funny with you here. But according to Thomas Bacon here, who sounds like a British writer that I didn't read in school.
Makes me hungry.
Fair point. Darth Tenebrous, who has been canon since 2015 and Build the Millennium Falcon number 44. Apparently, the article which named it Darth Tenebrous and this book that named Darth Tenebrous has been changed from what the line was, which is, and the ship is thought to have actually been designed by Darth Tenebrous, the Sith Master of Darth Plagueis. They have now changed it to say that its design is unknown. The origin of its design is unknown. So what does this tell you about them messing with the origin of Darth Plagueis as we go into a possible Acolyte season 2?
This is how fickle I am, and fans of the novel will be mad at me. But usually when I read the novel, I would skip until Plagueis took out Tenebrous. Tenebrous is kind of annoying to me, so that's fine. I mean, I know that's blasphemy, It's good. Look, the Tenebrous stories is fine, but like in the book, like for me, it's all about how Plagueis met Palpatine and everything like that. Like that's the stuff that interests me. So the Tenebrous stuff's cool because it is on that planet that we see on the Acolyte.
Yeah.
And how Plagueis murders him is pretty awesome. But it's again, I know that then I can't pick and choose of what's allowed to be canon or what's not. Knowing that it's not canon, but knowing that it's all head canon for me anyway. It is interesting when they start doing that, you know, that they're rewriting it and people don't like rewritten things. Or birthdays, right? Stay away from the birthday. As long as they don't touch his birthday, I'm fine with me. It's fine. Yeah. Laura, you're a huge fan of the novel, huge fan of Tenebrous. What are your thoughts on this?
I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on this thing that I definitely know what we're talking about. So, no, I have no thoughts on this. Empty head completely.
I'm excited, by the way, because I have decided to do this, and I don't know when, and I shouldn't even say it, but I like to announce my candidacy, or not candidacy.
Oh, great
but
stuff.
One of these days, I'm going to read the High Republic novels, and I'm not going to tell you how far I get into it, but then one day, you're going to talk about it, and I'm just going to drop knowledge and be like, oh yeah, like when Avar Chris and blah, 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 blah. Like, and it's going to be good because I am kind of
no way. You're gonna read Light of the Jedi and you're not gonna be able to not talk about it. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna read it and be like, nope, I'm throwing this out the window.
Plagueis and the Acolyte. I'm gonna be back here with my book like this, reading my book. And then I'm gonna get to series 3 and then finally be like, hey Laura, let's do that let's recap video and then we'll just bust knowledge the whole time.
I love it.
Anytime you guys want to do
maybe this is reverse psychology, so I'm hoping that now Laura feels compelled to do that with the Plagueis.
Yeah. Because I don't know how when you have a kid and a full-time job, you're gonna have time to read all.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna happen.
I don't know where you think you're gonna find the time. But
yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap it up there. I think we should close the bay doors on this one. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us on the Jedi Way tonight. Or today, whenever you're watching us. We appreciate it madly. Big shout out to these two wonderful people who have hung out and had fun with us, or with me rather, as we do this show. Kevin Smets, much love to you, brother, man. Please tell people where they can find you and what you got going on and any new stuff going on in the world of KOTOR.
No, KOTOR, we just crossed, like I think we talked about a couple weeks ago, of over 50,000. So that's kind of exciting. We're still working on Convergence. I wanted to give a shout out to the crew, Nova, Brandon, Greg, and of course Varkor. These four have been working on the Convergence crossover movie with me, and they've done far more work than I have, let's be honest, in this situation, aside from my animatics and my voice acting. And it's going to be a very special movie when that comes out. So I would be remiss without giving a shout out to that excellent crew. And they're the graphics, the writing, the direction and stuff. These guys and Varkor really taking it over and making this thing complete. So I wanted to give a shout out to them, and yeah, not much else cooking for me. It's always fun to talk Star Wars. I like these episodes where we're just kind of talking about random news and factoids and stuff. As a fan of Jedi Council back in the day, and get to be on a show with Rocha, and obviously I've been a super fan of Laura since I first met her during the Schmoedown days. So nothing but love. And to the fans out there that are going to say that I was annoying this episode, I was going to quote Han Solo and say, "I know." Or maybe I'm quoting Leia when she says, "I know," in Return of the Jedi. You don't know which one.
That's true. Thank you, Kevin. And you can follow him at Kevin Smets as well. Yeah, there you go. Laura Kelly, another fun show. Please let people know where you are and where they can find you, and any new appearances you've had on other shows.
Sure. Come find me on Twitter and Instagram at @shutup_Laura. I have just been doing a lot of guest spots to talk about the High Republic novel. Temptation of the Force. I think I'm probably done now. I've done I think 4 or 5 like guest appearances on other shows. Like we're literally not even going to talk about it on Force Toast. We're just going to like include a couple clips from when we were on Rogue Rebels Pod. That was the one podcast that Alice and I both did where we got to talk about the novel. Nice. So that episode is out now on the Rogue Rebels Pod podcast feed. So you can find that on all the places you get podcasts, and you can listen to my podcast Force Toast, a Star Wars Happy Hour, on all major podcast platforms, and find us on Twitter and Instagram at Force Toast Pod.
And the first episode of Force Toast that was ever released, by the way, funny story, was called Force Bread. So, dad joke. Sorry,
I liked it. I thought it was.
This might be my last appearance, and if it is, I just want to say, everybody, thank you.
We were so.
I'm regretting all of my choices now because I'm like, that would have been a good idea, actually, but it's fine.
Not at all.
There you go. All right. As for me, at the Rocha says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, the Outlaw Nation on Twitch. Please remember to subscribe down below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell button. You know, we're marching towards 50,000 subscribers ourselves here. We'd love to have you come aboard if you're enjoying the Star Wars content. Let us know your thoughts on all the stories rather we covered today, and let us know what your feelings are. Of course, keep it civil, keep it toxic. You can disagree, just disagree amicably. We have no problem with that kind of stuff, but you know, we'll remove it if it's a toxic comment. We don't need those here, but so keep it positive as much as you can there in the comment section. So thank you so much for watching. Whether you're listening to us or watching us, we appreciate it madly. And Laura, what do we have to tell them before we get on out of here?
Until next time, remember, your focus determines your reality.